What's up, gems? I'm Jamelia, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. To my returning subscribers, you guys, welcome back. I'm back with part 2 of our true crime compilation. So, let's get into it. Yeah, let's waste no time. Let's get into it. Start the screen recording. Here we go.
We're talking about the most hated woman in Utah.
This is Megan Huntsman. Megan and her husband, Darren West, and their 3 daughters lived in Pleasant Grove, Utah. On April 13th, 2014, Darren was cleaning out his garage when he came across a box. Upon opening it, he was shocked to find the body of a deceased infant, which had been wrapped in a towel and placed in a plastic bag in the box. When police arrived, they walked into a nightmare. 6 more boxes were soon recovered, also in the garage, all of which contained the remains of deceased infants. Each baby had been wrapped in towels or shirts, put inside plastic bags, stored inside the box, which had then been taped shut with electrical tape. It didn't take long for Megan to confess. Between 1996 and 2006, Megan somehow hid her pregnancies from Darren and their 3 other living children. Within 2 minutes of giving birth, she would strangle all 6 babies to death. During that time, Megan was addicted to methamphetamine and claimed that she couldn't afford to keep the babies and still buy drugs, which is why she had to kill them. Megan claims that she didn't murder her 3 living children only because other people knew about the pregnancies. Megan was arrested and sentenced to 6 terms of 5 years to life in prison. She will be eligible for parole in 2064.
This is Worst Deaths Imaginable, number 11. And it's also another death at Disneyland. This was Deborah Gale Stone. She was born on June 18th, 1956. Deborah was known to be extremely outgoing, friendly, and quite honestly, the perfect person to work at Disneyland Park. She sort of embodied the persona of the happiest place on earth. She graduated high school in 1974, and that's when she got one of her dream gigs. She was hired to be a hostess at Disneyland.
That's familiar too.
Shortly before she was hired, Disneyland opened up a new attraction called America Sings. This would be one of a couple of attractions Disneyland's had over the years that involved terrifying singing animatronics as their lead cast. The show is basically a musical celebrating America's bicentennial, and it was hosted by a terrifying animatronic bald eagle. America Sings was basically a carousel theater, meaning it would rotate. It had an outer ring of 6 theaters, and they were connected by divider walls, solid walls. And they revolved mechanically around every 2 to 4 minutes. And then there were 6 fixed stages in the middle of all of this where the things would rotate around. On July 8th, 1974, literally just a week and a half after this attraction opened, 18-year-old Deborah Gale Stone, who was a hostess for the show, well, around 10:30 that evening, right around the last show, as she was backing up to sort of get out of view of the show, she accidentally slipped between a very, very narrow passageway. Now, this was between a stationary solid wall and one of the rotating stage walls. Now, they don't know if she fell or she slipped or if she tried to jump from stage to stage, but the fact of the matter is she got stuck between those 2 different walls. And she could actually be heard screaming in agony and in pain, because she was literally being crushed by the rotating stage and the solid wall behind her. I mean, we're talking a very, very narrow little section that she was in. And the stage was rotating for at least 2 minutes, if not 4 minutes, constantly crushing her. Audience members reportedly heard her screaming, but some of them thought it was part of the show or that it was happening somewhere outside. But a couple other guests would inform the park staff after the last show, and when the stage was rotated for the last time, Deborah Gale Stone's body was found. Her death likely was not instant, as she was slowly crushed to death, screaming for help, but no one would help her. Her family sued Disneyland, of course, and they won a small settlement. The attraction was closed for a few days while they installed safety lights, and the attraction would close forever in 1988.
The story of John Jones getting trapped in a claustrophobic crevice and being sealed up forever has stuck to me like super glue. I never imagined that there was another similar cave death that was even worse in a lot of ways. Floyd Collins was an adrenaline junkie. He found an unmapped cave and decided it was his duty to explore every inch of it. One day in January, his lantern began to flicker, and he knew he was in trouble. He was deep inside. In a frenzy to escape before going dark, he became trapped in a narrow crawlway. For the first 4 days, rescue could reach him. They were able to bring him food and water, but then a 27-pound rock broke loose and slammed down onto his ankle, pinning him in place. Miners were brought in to attempt to dig a shaft, but it wasn't working. It wasn't happening fast enough. Collins' rescue summoned hundreds of tourists to come watch, but he was slowly fading away from hunger and hypothermia. He was now all alone. Nobody could reach him safely any longer. On the 18th day, he died after slowly suffering. It was pitch black. He could barely move. Hunger pangs were intolerable and his tongue as dry as sandpaper.
Let's talk about the tragic death of 2-year-old Christian Stewart all in one part. Her parents were Sean and Amber Salem. Sean was known to have a very violent past. As a child, he burned down the family home and he would often kill the family's pets. And as an adult, Sean was in and out of jail for violently assaulting girls. It was also known that he had a mental disability and an IQ of somewhere between 70 and 80. By the way, this is Sean. In 1995, right after he left prison, is when he met Amber, and Amber didn't know anything about his past. And I feel like even if she did know, she would have still loved him unconditionally. On July 7th of 1997, Christian was born. In 1998, Sean and Amber got engaged. After that, they decided to go live with Amber's parents. Soon, Sean started having problems keeping a job because of his past, and when he would get fired from jobs, other jobs wouldn't hire him because of his criminal record. This eventually became a problem, so Amber's parents did not want Sean to live with them anymore because he wasn't supporting the family at all and he wasn't contributing whatsoever. On December 2nd of 1999, Sean signed Christian out of daycare using Amber's name. Now, I don't know if this got lost in translation. I don't know if he was never supposed to be picking her up from daycare or if he just used her name just because he didn't want his name on the record. But anyways, after he got Christian from her daycare, he took her to McDonald's. As a baby, she got fussy and she got tired, so she started crying and he ended up slapping her in her mouth. After that, Christian apologized and they went on with their day. A while later, she started to get a little bit more fussy again and started whining for her mother. So he put her back in the car and he told her that she was going to go see her mother, and she fell asleep in the car seat. According to him, he ended up stopping the car and he told Christian mommy's here. He put Christian on the ground and started pouring gasoline on her, and then after that, he set her on fire. Now, this is Sean's words. He said that when he set her on fire, she started crying and saying, "No, daddy, no." She even ran towards him in hopes that he would put the fire out. Eventually, it got too much and she fell on her knees and she just started screaming in pain. That's when Sean got in his car and drove off while she was still, in flames. Sean never said why he did this, but one could assume that it was because he wanted revenge and he wanted Amber and her parents to feel hurt. I'm guessing this was the perfect way to do it. On July 9th of 2001, he was sentenced to death. And on May 12th of 2013, 31-year-old Amber, Christian's mother, ended up passing away in her sleep. So I guess the story came full circle and they reunited again. Maybe she died from a broken heart. That's all I have for today. I make videos every single day, so don't forget to follow me and drop suggestions of who I should talk about next in the comments.
Y'all probably heard about this lady back in like April or even last month because she is a cult leader and her mummified remains were found with glitter and empty eye sockets, and also her body was wrapped in Christmas lights. This is Amy Carlson, and before all this cult stuff started, she actually had a normal life. She worked as a McDonald's manager, had 3 kids. She was on marriage number 3 before she was 30, but whatever. Well, one day when she did hit 30, she started diving into a new age thinking, and she thought it was her mission to save the world. She dipped out on all of them and started the cult Love Is One. This cult would be active for 15 years and even still is active today. According to Amy and her followers, she is 19 billion years old, has reincarnated over 500 times, and in those lives she has been Marilyn Monroe, Jesus, the Queen of Lemuria, and more.
I have another cookies and crime story for you. This is the abduction of Camilla Mobley. On July 10th, 1998, 16-year-old Shannara Mobley gave birth to a healthy baby girl. 8 hours after she was born, a woman impersonating a nurse abducted her. Gloria Williams entered the room, assisted and conversed with the mother, and walked out with the baby in her arms. Williams was first spotted by 2 nurses in the hallway, who believed she was a nurse and reminded her that it was against protocol to arm carry a baby, so she walked back in the room and then left when the coast was clear. Williams successfully left the hospital with Camilla Mobley in her hands. Williams was 33 at the time and later forged documents to create a new identity for Camilla Mobley, Alexis Menigo. Williams was in an abusive relationship and had just miscarried a child a week before, which is believed to be her motive for abducting the child. In 2017, she was found alive and well, living in South Carolina, a little bit of a ways from Florida where she was born. Camilla Mobley, who was going by Alexis Menigo at the time, had her DNA swabbed, which matched the swab of the abducted baby. When she was finally discovered, she had already graduated high school and had a boyfriend. She had been raised alongside Williams' 2 other children. Camilla Mobley finally got to connect with her real father and grandmother over FaceTime and planned to reunite with her other biological family members. Williams was arrested in South Carolina and extradited to Florida, where she was charged with kidnapping and interfering with custody. Even though Williams performed a horrible act by abducting a baby and taking her away from her real family, Camilla Mobley describes Williams as no felon and insists that Williams raised her with everything she needed. In February 2018, Williams pleaded guilty to kidnapping and was sentenced to 18 years in prison. Camilla still communicates with Williams, and she still refers to her as her mother. Camilla Mobley has been rebuilding her relationship with her biological mother. On the other hand, in 2019, Williams had filed an appeal for her case, claiming that her 18-year prison sentence was cruel and unusual punishment. Williams argued that she had just suffered a devastating miscarriage and was exhibiting symptoms conducive to postpartum depression. She also claimed she was experiencing...
Every time with this case, see, I get that, but you can't kidnap someone else's baby. Like, it's unfortunate, it's heartbreaking, I'm sure devastating, but not even but, it is, period. You just cannot kidnap someone else's baby. That's crazy. Every time with this case, with this story, it's just...
Seeing extreme mental and emotional disturbance, and at the time she took the child, she was not in her right state of mind. But her appeal was denied. And that is the story of the abduction of Camilla Mobley. So in this story, Gloria Williams was absolutely the other mother. Bonus points if you caught that Coraline reference. I find this case so interesting because what Williams did was horrendous, yet she was a great mom.
If you've made it this far in this intense video, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chilling through the intensity. Oh my goodness. Like I said in part 1, the crimes that were mentioned in this video, I usually spend most of my days either listening to crime podcasts, watching different crime shows, listening to documentaries, reading about crime stories, trying to find those games on Amazon. I'll have something pop up right here. You guys should try it. If you're into, I don't know how to phrase it, but if you do watch a lot of crime documentaries and stories and things like that, and you're interested in these kinds of games, I'll also have the link down below. Y'all, when I ordered my game and I started playing, in my mind, I was a detective. You couldn't tell me a damn thing. Not a thing. You couldn't tell me a word. Detective Peter, okay? Like, you couldn't tell me a thing. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys more than words can explain, whether you're new here or a familiar face. Thanks for being here, period. Just thank you. I hope you're having a lovely, amazing, beautiful, productive day. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, in part 2. Bye, guys.